Today we're at the Churches Conservation Trust Church of St Mary at Ashley in Hampshire. Sitting on top of a hill adjacent to the original castle, the church dates from about 1200, although as we will see there have been quite a few changes to it over the centuries, not least of which are these gravestones to the right, rather gnarly and naggled. I wonder if that's where they started out life, or perhaps more appropriately, death. And now let's just come up to the porch and have a look at this shiny plaque which tells us that yes, it's the Churches Conservation Trust Church St Mary Ashley. So that's a good start. Little shed up there. And now we're looking at the porch. A replica Norman arch, I think, for the porch door. The keystone says 1701. Well, I don't always believe that they really are the date that appears on the keystone, but in this case I can't prove differently. And then looking up the graveyard, we see this Celtic cross thing, and I remember Dr. Janina Ramirez saying that the circle bit's purpose was solely to hold on the arms of the cross. Believe that if you will, I have no reason to doubt her. Looking up there at two little Norman lancets in the chancel, I imagine, and the rather more modern windows down into the nave. So let's go to the door and look, it's a lovely Norman arch, a very unembellished archway. So I've looked for the graffiti, as is my wont, and looks like a mason's mark there. A bit of paint there, I'd like to see a bit of paint. And on this side, some crosses. Now let's find the door handle down here and open sesame. Yes, we're in. We're met by serried ranks of benches, really, and the font. And this chap on the wall, presumably you removed from somewhere else, he looks a little startled. I expect he's seen hundreds or thousands of people over the years. Doesn't look terribly thrilled to see me, to be honest. And down here, oh, I love this. I love to see the visitor's book. Don't see them quite so often these days. And now we have the font. Pevsner calls this elemental. And what's this? Curious contraption. It's a alms box, I think, and you would have put your halfpenny or your penny in there, or maybe if you're the squire, you'd put a whole shilling in there. What a glorious thing that is. As we look down the church, and look at this sort of triple arches. There's a gorgeous Norman arch in the middle, and then these two side ones, which seem a little bit too large to be squints, but that's probably what they were, to allow people to see through and see what was going on at the altar. Come down here. This is, I don't know how old that pulpit is. It looks a wooden bit. It looks to me like it may be 16th or 15th century, and then a little recessed window with a piece of memorial glass in it. A chap called Mackay, or Mackay. Don't often see windows these days being dedicated to people. And then we see more paint. I adore paint. I love to find paint in a church. Down here, and looking to see what may or may not be written on the walls. Oh, look, yep, a bit of graffiti here. I can't make it out. I expect the Hampshire Medieval Graffiti Survey people have been up here. They'll know what it is. I must ask them. And down here, a figure 9. Or is it like a ram's head, or even a baby curled up? I don't know. Then down through the choir into the two in the chancel now. Rather modern, more modern tiles here. Then what's this? Goodness me, I like this. Painting appears to be of a young man or perhaps a woman holding a book and perhaps holding a sword. Now, Pevsner thinks that maybe it's Mary, Mother of Christ, but I think more likely it's as Anne Marshall suggests, that in fact it's St. Catherine, or possibly another female saint, but the reason why she says Catherine is because Catherine appears to be holding a book, and also the sword, which is an instrument of her martyrdom, the book symbolising her intellectual prowess. She discounts other female saints like Margaret and Barbara. And although the church is dedicated to Mary, she doesn't think that it's likely to be her. It's absolutely wonderful, whoever it is. And now we move up to the altar. The tiles here, I wouldn't be too surprised if they weren't Minton or Godwin or somebody like that, one of the great 19th century tile makers. And up on the walls here we have a recessed window, a piscina, and then here we go. I lift the altar rail, and I always do this with a degree of nervousness. I feel I'm intruding somehow. And this is the memorial slab to the Reverend Robert Croft Taunton, rector of this parish, who died April the 7th, 1860, and also to Lucy, his wife, who died April the 8th, I think, 1860, aged 79 years. Curious, isn't it? Nearly died on the same day. And here on the other side, we have another plaque to another Taunton. This one is to William Leonard Thomas Pyle Taunton, Esquire, Lord of the Manor, and also to the memory of his daughter Lydia. So I don't know, was he the elder brother of the good rector who's commemorated on the other side of the chancel? Is it the old story of the eldest inheriting the estate, the middle one going to the army, and then the youngest one going to the church? And presumably the church was in the patronage of his elder brother, so a bit of nepotism going on here, maybe. We have a kneeler, Tommy, although it's an RAF crest. Tommy is very much a soldier's name rather than an airman's. And then on the back it says Thomas William Thomas, with a Welsh name perhaps, donated by Sheila, his daughter, I imagine. Very poignant, and the only kneeler actually in the church. We go down and look on this choir bench, and there's another reference to the Tauntons, this time a lady who died in 1980 and was responsible for the refurbishment of the chandeliers that hang above the chancel. And down here is an open window as we move back down through the choir, just stopping for a second to look at a couple of memorials. These are two. On this side, I think this is a chap called Hobbs, and on the other side, you'll see in a minute, this one is to Weeks, Abraham Weeks, who died in 1755. Done by Baker of London. Extremely large monuments for really such a small church. Symbol of wealth, no doubt, in a part of the country that is undoubtedly wealthy today. Lots of the houses in this part of the country have locked electric gates. So we move slowly back down. You see the grill sort of mesh over the window. That must be to stop the birds from getting in. Always a problem in these churches. Who's this lady? Helen Bromley. Died in 1981. A simple plaque. Now we move back down to the west end of the church, pausing to look at more poignancy, this time those who gave their lives in World War I. Maybe 6 or 7 of them. At least 2 Chilvers in that list. Brothers, I expect. No corner of the country was left untouched. Here's the water stoop. Empty, of course. And now we'll move on down to the west end and look at this little display case on the left, showing the church as it was. Little bits of memorabilia, an old Bible. That rather wonderful wooden arms box. Incredible thing, isn't it? The altar cloth, same as the one that's on today. And then just along here we're looking at a rather dejected St Mary with ivy all over it, now long cleared up. A quick plug for the Church's Conservation Trust. They do wonderful things to maintain and preserve these wonderful old churches. Perhaps we should have a quick look back down the aisle to check that we've missed nothing. No, it looks all right. Goodbye, St Mary's.